Yesu akamwambia, mama, tuna nini mimi nawe?
Kwani saa yangu haijawadia.
Divai ikawaishia. Mamake Yesu kamwambia, hakuna divai, hakuna divai, hakuna divai.
Maria akawaambia, watumishi, lolote yakisema nyinyi fanyeni.
Nikiwa na wewe
sitoaibika,
mimi na wewe
sitoaibika,
pamoja na wewe
sitoaibika, sitoaibika. Rafiki Yesu, sitoaibika. Jehova Jireh, sitoaibika.
katika kila hali, iwe ngumu iwe shwari, Mungu husema, na akisema wala habadilishi.
In place of shame, He'll give you double, double. In place of dishonor, He'll give you everlasting joy.
Badala ya aibu atanipa maradufu.
Kwa utukufu wake mina enjoy.
Divai ikawaishia. Mamake Yesu kamwambia, hakuna divai, hakuna divai, hakuna divai.
Maria akawaambia, watumishi, lolote yakisema nyinyi fanyeni.
Sitoaibika,
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 sitoaibika, sitoaibika.
Siku ya tatu ya harusi ya Kana, mji wa Galilaya, na mamake Yesu alikuwepo.
Yesu na yeye alikuwa harusini pamoja na wanafunzi wake.
Yesu akamwambia, mama, tuna nini mimi nawe?
Kwani saa yangu haijawadia.
Divai ikawaishia. Mamake Yesu kamwambia, hakuna divai, hakuna divai, hakuna divai.
Maria akawaambia, watumishi, lolote yakisema nyinyi
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, once again for joining Omega TV. My name is Lydia Tetolet. As usual, I Kenyan. I say Wakanda forever. Yes. Right. Today, my voice is kind of you know that voice. But don't get deceived. This is not my voice, okay? It's just that weekend we had a very successful event, Kenya and Friends in the Park. And I want to say thank you so much to every single person who came to Kenya and Friends in the Park, who supported us, who helped, who prayed. Because on Saturday it was supposed to rain, but there was no rain at all. I mean, just little drop. So thank you so much, everybody who came to Kenya and Friends in the Park. Well, today I'm in the studio on Wednesday, back to the studio with some two powerful, I would say powerhouse women. So one is a gospel artist, a sensational gospel artist, and the other one as well, she deals with humanitarian work. She is, I mean, probably some of you have seen her before because I've had her here so many times, but through Zoom. But now she came all the way from Kenya, and the artist as well, the gospel artist as well is from Kenya. So I'm so happy that today I have my people in the studio. So even if I want to speak Swahili, guys, yes I can, but we'll translate it. So thank you guys again for joining us. And very, very soon, stay tuned. You're going to see us on Sky 181. Very soon, we're gonna come to Sky 181 in your living room. You see this face. If you don't like it, too bad, because I'll be in your living room TV by force, by fire. Anyway, we're moving on. So I'm just going to let my guests introduce themselves, and I'm going to start with my gospel artist.
Hi, I'm Masika. Gospel artist. I love Jesus. I'm excited to be here. Well, I came for the Kenyans in the park.
And friends. Don't leave the friends out.
And friends. It was an awesome experience with Lydia and awesome people here in London. Yeah.
So thank you. Yes, my dear lady.
My name is Njeri Migwi from Musiki. Musiki is an organization that deals with ending the prevalence of sexual and gender-based violence in Kenya. And I've collaborated with Lydia on a number of things. She's been an amazing person to work with, be with, and I'm glad to have come here to support Kenya Friends in the Park and to be here and to just see how much work she's put in. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you, Lydia.
Oh, thank you guys. Oh, thank you so much. I'm sure you guys were thinking, especially in Njeri, this girl carried slippers because she was like, summertime in the UK. Carried summer dresses. Oh, summertime.
Amazing.
Shock on her. Summer is never summer. This country, we don't really have summer. We go as it goes. Today we see sun, you're happy. Rain, snow, whatever comes, we take it and we move on. So you guys have come thinking it's summer, but damn, shock on you guys. Sorry. I'm so sorry, don't worry. Next time when you're coming summertime, make sure you carry your jackets, your shoes, your boots, unless you want to go and spend money in the shop buying stuff. Which I'm sure you don't want to do that because, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, so my ladies, powerhouse.
Our lady.
Yeah. All right, so I want to start with you, Mercy. I know you're a gospel singer and you've done this for ages. I'm not saying that you're old or you're older than me, because surely, definitely I'm older than you. But I've had your songs since. And what impresses me with you is you're still relevant. Because we do have a lot of gospel artists who they're not relevant anymore, and some of them have decided to go to stop singing gospel and sing something else because probably they're thinking, oh, gospel is not doing well, it's not paying me. So are we just doing the gospel thing for money, or are we actually singing for God to touch and change people's lives?
I think every one of us has their own journey, you know. So I think knowing God is most important. And then, of course, your gift has to make profit, because money is like the wing in the aeroplane that causes it to fly, because without money, you're not able to fly. And so I think everybody should search their heart. And then again, it's God who also judges at the end of the day. So, but it's important to be careful with our hearts. Why are we doing gospel music? Is it, you know, because comes up. I mean, you always can tell from the inside of you what is really, you know, what do you value?
So what made you start? What made you think, or what made you like, I want to be a gospel singer? Because I know a lot of people always say that I wanted to do this when I was young, I wanted to do this, I always had this passion. is that did you like at an early age, like, I want to be a gospel singer?
I actually had dreams of being a woman of God, you know.
Wow.
Not just a singer, a preacher. So I used to look up to women preachers. Still today, I think I follow a lot of women preachers. Of course, that's something I've gotten into. And also, I wanted to sing the gospel. I actually had no other desire but just to sing gospel music. And so I started off.
For me to sort out the song, please.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna go and break and we're gonna come back. So please
Sound problem.
don't technology
Difficulties.
Siku ya tatu ya harusi ya Kana, mji wa Galilaya, na mamake Yesu alikuwepo.
Yesu na yeye alikuwa harusini pamoja na wanafunzi wake.
Yesu akamwambia, mama, tuna nini mimi nawe?
Kwani saa yangu haijawadia.
Divai ikawaishia. Mamake Yesu kamwambia, hakuna divai, hakuna divai, hakuna divai.
Maria akawaambia, watumishi, lolote yakisema nyinyi fanyeni.
Nikiwa na wewe
Toaibika,
mimi na wewe,
toaibika,
pamoja na wewe,
toaibika. Sintoaibika. Rafiki Yesu. Sintoaibika. Jehovah Jireh. Sintoaibika.
katika kila hali, iwe ngumu iwe shwari, Mungu husema, na akisema wala habadilishi.
In place of shame, He'll give you double. In place of dishonor, He'll give you everlasting joy.
Badala ya aibu atanipa maradufu.
Kwa utukufu wake, mina enjoy.
Divai ikawaishia. Mamake Yesu kamwambia, hakuna divai, hakuna divai, hakuna divai.
Maria akawaambia, watumishi, lolote yakisema nyinyi fanyeni.
Sintoaibika.
Sintoaibika. Sintoaibika. Sintoaibika.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Wow, welcome back. Guys, you know what they say, technology. In my tribe, we say technology, like technology defeated people. Direct translation from my language to English. Never mind. All right, so I was just, before we had the technical issue, I was talking to my very sensational artist, gospel singer. And she was explaining to us what made her start singing. And she was saying when she was young, she just had something for preachers, women preachers, just women
I wanted
preachers.
to be a woman preacher.
Okay.
Yes, I had a thing for women preachers and women in ministry, and especially the ones who would be, totally, you could tell these ones are immersed in God. Those are the ones I admired. So I think it's important what appetite you have from when you're young. What appetite your child has from when they're young. So if they have an appetite for alcohol, that's what they'll follow. So for me, my appetite was just for the things of God, and thankfully I had an environment around me that allowed me to grow that kind. And so I think that's what I grew my appetite for. Yes.
Wow. So do you know what initiated this? Like what made you start having this thing for God, for
I think my dad.
women preachers. So your dad was a preacher?
My dad is a preacher, my mom is a preacher.
Okay.
And they're good.
Okay.
They're good.
So you're looking up to your mom, what your mom is doing, and you're thinking,
Yeah, actually my dad. Yes, my dad, my mom, but
Yes.
there's something about I love how my dad did it from when I was young.
yes.
Now, daddy's girl.
Yeah, daddy's girl. All right, cool. So I'll just ask you some personal questions. So how many are you in your family?
We're 4, I'm the second. Yes.
Are you the only gospel artist?
My elder sister sang, but she became more of a missionary. My younger sister tried one, but she gave up. But she's in management. My brother plays instruments. Yeah.
So you're all church people?
We're all church people.
So nobody from your family went derailed and started drinking alcohol or...
We don't say the details.
No, we don't. We spare that.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, but of course there are ups and downs in every family. But we thank God somehow we keep coming back because we were trained. You know how scripture says, train up children and they will
God's
come
way.
back when they lose their way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I think I'll come back to you. So let me go to my other powerhouse woman, Njeri. Njeri, I've really struggled sometimes to say Njeri wa Migwi.
Njeri wa Migwi.
Wa Migwi.
Yes.
Wow, I got it.
Yes,
Yay,
finally,
finally.
yay.
I clap for myself. Whoa. Okay. So I know you do a lot of charity, and I've always I've interviewed you before so many times, and there's one day when I was interviewing you, you told me something about, because I asked you what was the worst that you've done, and I couldn't do it. So for me, I don't even understand how you cope with these things. So my question to you first would be, how do you cope with all these atrocities that you see every day or you hear? Because some of them you hear, you don't see them, but most of them you actually see and get involved on a personal level.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with it?
One of the things I have to say is I have been on the verge of giving up very many times. There are times I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. My heart is tired because this violence keeps on escalating every day. You'd think that with everything that we've seen the worst. Every time I see something, I'm like, this is so bad. Nobody can do something worse than that. But as I was telling Mercy yesterday, one of the things I have learned in this journey is the heart of men are desperately wicked. Because somebody will do something that will leave you so shocked. And I tell people, most of the time, people think I really write everything. I don't. Or I really speak about it. I don't. I try as much as possible to spare the gory details because I do not want to become the person that is giving you trauma porn. So for me, I absorb a lot of this and I keep it with myself. I have found power in therapy. The other thing that helps is I go to Karura Forest once a week. I really shout at the trees. I do. I speak to them and I shout and I scream because I feel like the times I feel like I'm really holding the weight of the world. Because there's not a day that me and my team do not see a case of violence. And the cases have escalated. And I keep saying, for me, I have held a 4-day-old child who had been defiled, all the way to a 92-year-old grandmother who had been raped. And so you can imagine anything between that to that, from little boys to little girls, to babies, to women and men. Everyone I have seen, and it does something to you. And so for me, crying helps. I really cry. I cannot tell you there's a day that goes by that I don't cry. And I keep saying, I want my heart to stay soft. The day I look at something and I don't feel I'm out. I'm out, because it means I've lost my humanity, and there is no purpose in me doing this if my humanity is not there.
So how do you strike a balance between your mental health, whatever these things happening, and your family? Because I know you also have children as well.
Yes, I do.
So how do you balance all that? How do you put a line? Where does it end? Like, okay, now this is my family time, this is my mental health time. So even if, like, when it's now your mental health time and somebody comes with something so bad and you've put your time, like, this is my mental health time, I don't want anything to disturb it or anything to interfere with it. And then something comes like, wow, it has to interfere with it. So how do you strike a balance between all these three?
One of the things that my therapist said is I have to ultimately decide that if I get, this is my time for leaving work, this is my time for getting home, and this is my time for being with my family. I'm not doing very well, but I'm doing much better than I was before. And one of the best things that we did is to have a call center, which handles a lot more calls that I can do, because it's gotten to a point where my phone is always on silent. I'm terrified, because most of the time when people call me, they're always seeking for help. And so my phone ringing can give me a panic attack. My phone hasn't rung in 3 years. So most of the time, that's why you call me, and I normally return calls.
Yes.
You've noticed chances that I will not
Yes,
pick.
exactly.
It's because my phone doesn't ring. I cannot stomach a ringing, my phone ringing. It scares me. And so for me, one of the things I'm trying is to strike a balance. But the call center that we have has really helped in filtering the calls, because then people can call. And when people text me, most of the time I send it to the call center so that they can attend to it. So when it's an emergency, then it comes to me. The problem is when they don't call, they can reach me on my social media. So I will get the messages either way. But it's much easier right now with the call center, so that helps. I am really trying to work to a point where I get home at 7 and I don't pick my calls, because there is only so much you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
And it can run you ragged. As I say, this violence doesn't seem to be ending. So
In fact, it's getting worse.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so for me, I mean, the last government survey that was released this year by Kenya National Bureau of Statistics says 1 in 3 women will face violence or is already facing violence between the ages of 15 to 48. So for me, that tells me that it's not going down. So I also need to be healthy, both mentally and physically, for me to be able to do the work that we do. Because for me, I also go to the field a lot. Yeah, I will not send somebody where I cannot go. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll come back to you, and now back to Mercy. So Mercy, I know you've done a lot of. How many songs have you done roughly?
I have no idea,
You
but
have no idea.
I know there are more than 100, because I started an album when I was really small. At 10, I had my first album, which
At
was
10?
Yeah, which was 10 songs. Then 14 again, another album, 18 again. So it just kept going on like that. So I have so many songs, and I'm grateful. At least most have been heard. Yeah.
And do you feel like, do you sing songs to motivate, inspire, and change people's lives, or do you just sing a song that, okay, I'm just singing this song out there? Is there a meaning and a purpose? And also, do you have something that you're thinking, okay, I'm actually singing this song because I want salvation, I want healing, I want deliverance, you know? So why do you sing this?
I think one of the things I have learned is that every song that we sing needs to be based on scripture. Because if I'm giving my own stories, that's beautiful. But the word of God has ability to change lives and transform and speak to people in different ways that I would not even be able to. And so one of the emphasis is just to put the word of God as the main thing, because the Holy Spirit does his job himself, because he speaks in his word. And so I think I have an emphasis more on worship, direct to God. I think most of my songs go, nikupendeze, just directly to God, because I love to worship. I love to worship, and I think the purpose that God created us is to worship. And so most of my songs go that direction. Hardly do they go, you know, but you know, it's more towards God, even receiving also from healing, deliverance, yes. And so I believe the word of God is powerful enough to heal and deliver. And so I think to make an impact, you just sing the word. Yeah.
And because you've sung so many songs, I'll ask you the same thing that I asked Njeri. How do you strike a balance between you singing? Because I know it takes a lot of time when you're going to sing. It's not just come, sing, we're done. There's cut, stop, make up this. So how long, first of all, does it take for you to shoot a music video? Does it take 1 day? Does it take 2 days? And the second one is, how do you, again, of course, strike a balance between all this you're doing and your family? Because I know you and your husband, you've been married for so many years. And I know there's a very strong relationship there. I've seen you with your husband. I've seen the love.
You can see, eh?
I can see that love.
I've stayed with you guys.
And that's why I say I'm praying for God to give me that love.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
So I receive it.
You know, panda begu. So, so when people ask me that, I keep saying I really thank God every day for the husband that I have, because he's a support to I think we were talking yesterday with Njeri, and you were saying some of the things that he also went through was an abusive family that made him not want to be in a situation whereby he saw his mother go through. And so he really has been a blessing. Even when he's angry at me, you can see him controlling himself, you know, and he's really very, very, very supportive. I've seen men, I've not seen, you know, one like him. Recently they had him stand up in church, and I was like, yeah, this is an award-winning husband. because he's like, look at this man. He gives his life to his children, and he does literally for his children and for us. And it's a decision he has made. So how I balance, I thank God I balance because of my husband. We're able to share responsibilities and work together and do everything that we do together. And thankfully, it is working.
I really like the fact that you brought the husband aspect in it. And I've spoken to your husband on so many different times. And just the way he speaks is so soft-spoken, and he's just laid back, and he's such a nice guy. But for you to be where you are, because they always say that behind every successful man there's a good woman. But I think we should also have behind every successful woman there's a good man.
Yes.
Because we do have some men, not all of them, of course, who are envious of their wife's success, and because of that, them being envious of their wife's success, there's always problems, there's always disagreement, there's no, because they don't support them, they're jealous, they're competing. It's like, what is this? So is there a time that I know this is a personal question and you can just pass, trust me, I do ask personal questions. Some people answer, some people say pass, which is fine, because I'm too nosy sometimes to people's business. So when it comes to finances, sometimes do you find like you're making more money than him?
Now the amazing thing is that we do everything together.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I make, he played a part. What he makes, I've played a part. So we own it together.
Oh, dang! That's a nice one.
As someone who has lived with them, now that I've been here, you know, when you live together, it becomes a bit intimate.
Yes.
They have a beautiful dynamic, and it's not pretending.
It's not pretending.
They have, wow. I just sat there and
when you say it, I go like, oh.
No, like for real. You know, as someone who has just lived with you for the last 3 days or so, you have a beautiful working dynamic. He cooks, I clean, he cooks. I mean, I was just there and it soothed my heart. Wow. And I tell you, my heart has seen things that are bad. So when I see love, and actually people don't get it. I am one person who celebrates love. I think love is beautiful. I believe that love is amazing. Love is kind, love is generous, love is all these things. And I like seeing healthy, communicative love. And these two, her and her babe, the way they communicate in gestures, in kind, and they're kind to each other. I mean, I noticed that. They were kind to me. I hate cooking, my friend. These people have cooked for me. And so they've been, you know, you can see that. So yes, I love your marriage. It's very healthy. It has all the, you finish each other's sentences. I was like, Jehovah.
Oh, we do?
Oh, yes.
You didn't even realize.
As I said, somebody who watches all these things,
Yeah.
I am very good at seeing good, healthy love, and I love that for
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
I think today wasn't really about discussing relationships. That would be a topic for another day. But because it's part of your journey, because that's what made you, the relationship as well with your husband, have actually made you become who you are today.
Yeah.
Because we've seen husbands or who have destroyed their wives because of all this jealousy or whatever. We've seen a lot. They say, "Oh, probably I'm your manager," and then because I know your husband is also your manager, right? And you have a very good manager, stroke husband.
I do. He has a better personality even than me many times. I'm like, it's lifesaver.
He's more of a outgoing person and outspoken. He's an extrovert when you're an introvert.
Yeah.
And I saw that because when I was talking, shouting, you're like, "Oh God, Lydia," and I'm like, "That's just who I am
already.
That's just who I am. Please let me just shout and scream," because we are all different personalities. So well done. So I also want to ask you, you've collaborated with so many different artists. So how does it work for you?
I think I like working with people I'm attracted to. It's always nice when you work with people that you look up to. Like today, I've been wanting to sing with a guy called Guardian Angel. So I hope he's not watching because I don't want him to feel nice.
No, it should feel nice.
Yeah, so lately I've been playing his music every day when we're traveling. You know, when you're driving, we're going to Kisumu the other day.
Yes.
And so we're playing lots of music, a lot of his music, because his music is very, fun. Yes. So we today, I think I like people who I'm attracted to. So very soon a collab is coming, believe you me.
It's there. It's there. It's on the way in Jesus' name. We must hear your Guardian Angel.
Simwambie.
Oh, okay. I'll just hear you. That's we just So Njeri, I'll come back to you again, and I know today is the conversation is kind of contrast because one is gospel artist and we want to dance and we want to be happy because Jesus in the house, we're happy, and then you also have you here who a lot of people actually question God with what you go through, because I see your comments sometimes and that people are like, how can God let this happen and why is this happening? And then you have somebody here who totally understands and believes in God's work. But the people who comment is not you actually, is the people who are commenting because of the things that happen. Sometimes I see your post and I pass. Sometimes I'm like, I can't deal with this. Or I start reading
yesterday she was showing me a video of the lady that, something was happening. So she showed me the video. I'm like, no, I can't. The lady was screaming and it was live,
And the sad thing is, when I can't watch it, she can't watch it. Some people can't watch it. But for that person, it's reality.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So for that person, they're living that. And we are saying, well, I can't watch it, I can't watch it, I can't watch it. Personally, I can't. I won't lie to you. So if we can't watch it, like 100,000 people can't watch it, who is going to watch it to help this person? And that's why for me, I'm so proud of you, because you can actually watch it and go and help this person.
I coordinated the whole rescue effort while I was here. So I was calling people. I'm like, okay, call the police right now. This is a lady's address, because people had tagged me. It doesn't matter where I am in the world. People will still be like, where's Njeri? And I was talking to my office. I was talking to Ruth. I was talking to Dee. And they were talking to the lady. We were texting. I'm texting back. I'm texting her, where are you? Where is the police? And I don't even think she even knows how she was rescued. I think she's understanding it now because she's in my office currently right now. But she doesn't know. In the middle of us, she's thinking that maybe she called the police. We did. We had to look for the police. We had to do so many things behind the scenes. These things that people don't see. When we say we've rescued a person, people think I have to be physically there. Sometimes I don't. I have now made networks and connections, and I know I can call a certain police station and I will get the help needed. And then from there we can pick it up with the person and then follow it up with now things like a social psycho support and things like that. So for me, the thing is, as a survivor myself, I know that this is a call that I have over my life. It's not something that I do without purpose. I know there is purpose to this. I know that for me, as I keep on saying, my mantra is one survivor at a time, right? One survivor at a time, one rapist at a time, because we seem to have a proliferation of these things. So for me, I have to answer the call. I may not be able to do anything. And sometimes it's just to say, what can I do to help? Because sometimes people just want to hear somebody is hearing, somebody is listening, and for her to just come live, it means that is where her options were. I don't even know her, but people tagged me, people went into my inbox, people came into my phone and they were sending messages. And so immediately when I saw, I think I responded in like 10 minutes. I had already now, set up a motion of how we were going to help her. And once she was out of the police custody, we picked her up, put her and I don't want to get into the details. And she got home. And this morning she came to the office and we went to the police and we reported. And she came to the office and she got psychosocial support. And I'm really happy. That's how it should be. And I know a lot of people have muted me. My page is a disaster.
I know. I see.
And so I understand.
Yeah.
But I also need for people to understand that when you mute me, I hope that doesn't mean you mute the support.
Okay, yeah, support can still go on.
Yes.
But just mute
Just
Njeri,
know
but not
that,
to
yes,
Sikini.
they're here. But I do try and remember that I used to be a funny girl once upon a time. And try and put some funny posts in between so that people do not be like, oh my God, that page is just horrible and miserable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do read your comments. I do read comments sometimes. And yes, I do see some people. And I don't... Honestly, I don't know if it's a pseudo account that some people normally have, because sometimes what somebody's... There's a child who was actually sexually molested, and somebody even responds and say, what was she doing there? I'm like, seriously?
Yes.
Seriously? And most of these comments are coming from men. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's a pseudo account, somebody put a man in, it's a woman, I don't know. Because I'm thinking, how can you even think that? So as much as the person, there's some people who are doing the act, there are also some who are not doing the act, but by their response, you just feel like this person is just as good as doing the act. Because how can you say such a thing? How can you even say, what was she doing there? What was she wearing? Or a 4-month-old baby. What is a 4-month-old baby meant to wear?
Yeah.
And then there's the one that the father, biological father, molests a child, and then they blame the mother. Why did you leave the child with him? That's the dad. That's the dad.
He's a parent.
He's a parent.
Oh yes, he's a parent. I tell people all the time, I don't get men who cannot raise children. And simply because I was raised by my father. I am a product of a father who raised me since I was 3 years old. I don't get it. I don't understand men who say they cannot raise a girl. My father never touched me in any way. And I have a very healthy relationship with my dad. My children have a very healthy relationship with their grandfather. So any man who looks at a child and sexualizes a child, there is a problem there.
There's a problem.
Because this is your child, and we have a pandemic. I'm telling you, Lydia, it is bad. It's bad because every day I discover a new law. And for a father like to just molest a child and send the video to the mother's child, and now it looks like it's not just one. I've come across a couple of videos, and these people, their wives are working in the Gulf region, and 3 different cases, where husbands are sending these videos to their wife to tell them, if you don't send me money, I'm going to rape my child. And I'm like, what?
Rape the child.
And it's your own child.
It's your own child.
It doesn't even matter if it's your own child or not.
Yeah.
It's a human being.
We need to stop looking at children and seeing them as sexual objects. They're children. Let children be children. Leave children alone. Please, I am begging you. Please leave children alone. Let them grow up in the innocence and in the beauty of childhood that some of us were afforded to have. I am completely disgusted at the dehumanization that we look at children under those lenses of sexualization. And for me, I feel like there's a lot of rape culture in this country. Not this country, but back home. I don't know anything about here.
I think it's just in the
But
the
generally,
world.
if you look at the world right now,
Yes, the world,
rape culture is what encourages all these acts.
Is it because of pornography?
Pornography plays a part, but it's not just pornography. You cannot really blame pornography alone. It's a system of It's systemic. If you look at it, it's very systemic. How do you? Because if it is pornography, then why are you looking at a child and thinking of how you're going to sleep with a child? Because even in porn, they don't actually have acts with children. So it is not pornography. It is the fact that people, and I keep saying, most people think rape is an act of passion. Rape is not an act of passion. It's an act of power. Yeah, it's an act of power. Yeah. It's an act of power, and they feel good when they do this because they have dehumanized you. It's perverted and it's wrong and it's sick. And it needs to stop. And I need to see stricter rules. And you know, the worst part about it is that you will find the person who did the act is your husband, is your brother, is your uncle, and the family comes together, or your son, to protect the perpetrator. And that kills me, because you find, yes, the perpetrator is a man, but the people protecting him are his mother, are the women around him, his sister, and nobody believes. And these children, we are bringing up and we are raising up a generation of broken children, and we need to be better, and we need to do better.
And the thing is, especially even as a woman, and I'm not saying men and women are different, but as a woman, you're staying there doing kangaroo court, trying to protect your son, whoever he is. Just know that even you someday, you might go through that. Your child, your daughter might go through that. So when you're sitting there and trying to defend your son, if you have a child, or even maybe you don't have, think of yourself, because it doesn't matter. Like she said, even up to 90 years old get raped anyway. So even you, something can happen to you. How do you feel now? Would you sit there and defend that person? How do you feel?
And you know the worst part of it, I always tell myself, if you don't believe this child, right? This child has been defiled, and whatever has happened to the child. But I'm asking, would you trust this person with your own children?
Exactly.
Would you? Would you leave this person in the same room with your children? And this is how we have managed to protect perpetrators. The thing is, right now with the internet and everything that is going on, and nosiness, and everybody being in everybody's business, is why these things are coming out. But I have spoken to adults who are survivors of childhood sexual abuse, and they tell you when they say they were beaten.
Yes.
So this thing was perpetrated and kept in the family. And so when you'd come to a family gathering, there was that one person that everybody would avoid. Meaning the family knew.
Yes.
The family knew, but they still kept this person in the family. I don't think family shame should be bigger than a child. And me, I say this as somebody who has both a son and a daughter, that if my son touches somebody, how big, and they know. I have been that parent from the get-go, who has been very clear about the kind of a mother I am. And I know the children I have raised, and the kind of people they are. They've known. Me, I tell them, I will be the one frog matching you. God help you. I will not be a parent to a child who can do something like that to another person. Because truly, truly,
and you cover for them.
I will not.
Yeah. So going back to you, Masi, I just want to talk about, I think a lot of things also with all this molestation, children, everything, sometimes it's trauma of what they went through. And I know you said something about your husband, and I just want to bring it back. The fact that he chose not to do whatever was done to his mom. Because some people always say, oh, this is a true fact, that it's a circle. And if your parents went through that, or the environment, or the society, or the community that you're in, and all you see is women being battered every day, or men being battered every day. So that's the norm. So when you grow up as well, you just take it and you take that. But I don't believe in that, because I know that everybody has a free will, and everybody has a decision to make. You cannot tell me that I did that because my dad used to do that to my mom, or my dad used to do that to my mom used to do that to my dad. So for your husband to now break that cycle and say, I don't want to do the same thing that happened to my mom, to my wife. Do you understand? So, and that's why I always say that everybody you have a choice. You cannot sit there and start blaming your parents, or blaming your grandparents, or society, or community, wherever you're coming from, and start saying, oh, I did that because my wife or my husband, I saw this happening within my borders. You have a choice. And you have a choice to make the right decision.
Yes.
But if you choose that wrong decision, you pay for it. Because in everything we do, there's a circumstance, there's consequences that you have to pay for. You might not be the one paying for that consequences today, but somebody in your lineage will pay for it. Because I always say that if you plant a seed, that seed will germinate, and somebody has to harvest it.
Yeah.
So who's going to harvest it?
Your children and your children's children.
Yeah.
So why would you live like that?
Wow.
So that is so with your music as well, because I know that your music is something that you like worship, and I know worship goes direct to his feet. So you like worship. What made you do worship, not praise?
Well, praise and worship are the same. I think I do both, but I tend to be a bit not too fast, not too slow. So I do praise and worship is the same thing. So I think it's just how you see it, because people see praise as fast, really fast songs, and worship. But for me, worship is still slow. Praise. Yeah. I do it all. Yeah.
But what does Guardian do that you like? Because this music is praise.
I like his beat. Yeah, that's praise, but it's still worship.
Yeah.
But like he goes, Jesus, that's still to God, praising God and talking about God, because praise is about boasting about God, which is what we do still with worship.
I also saw you with collab with Paul Clement. That's my best guy. I love his songs. Oh my God, I love Paul Clement songs.
Yeah.
I go for a walk every morning, and I have a very good friend that I talk to every morning when I'm going for a walk. But if my friend is not there for me to talk to him, then I just listen to Paul Clement from beginning to end. I love his songs so much. I feel like his songs really speaks to me. They speak to me even when I can't pray, because I don't know about you guys, but there are sometimes I can't even pray. I think I don't even know what to say. Sometimes I just say God, and then I'm stuck there. God, I don't know what to say next. So I just listen to his songs. I love him so much. So what inspired you to do a collab with Paul Clement?
It's again, I first fall in love with people. I won't sing it if I'm not in love with your music. Because it's true, when I travel a lot, and I don't know why, it's more when I travel that I have his music on my ears. So I've listened to his music, because he's younger than me. So, but I'm like, wow, look at, and then he's so humble. He's such a sweetheart. So I think I admire character and certain aspects in people. So that so that inspired me, and the pure, and how also he writes songs. The same thing you're saying, they speak to me.
But when you're singing, because we had this gospel singer who was being Sinache, the one that died, and Sinache, her songs, I used to listen to her songs a lot, because I felt like her songs had so much emotion and passion. And at that time, I felt the emotion and passion was for Christ, really. But when I found out what she was going through, and not for me to judge, but when I found out what she was going through, I stopped listening to her music, because I felt like the cry was not for God, it was for herself. She was really crying for help, but nobody could see that, nobody could think that. We all thought like she's just to God. So I stopped listening to her music for that reason, and that's just for me, not for anybody else to stop listening to the music. That just for me, because I felt like when I was listening to your song, I was actually feeling, because I misinterpreted what she was, the emotions, what the emotions were. But later now, after this happened, I was like, no, I'm not going to listen to that music anymore. So when you're singing with the emotions, when you're singing, do you sometimes take what you're going through, and put it in music to God? Or is it that every time you're doing your praise and worship, or your worship is just straight to God, and no emotions attached because of what you're going through?
I think God put emotions in us. And like when you were broke, there are times I remember I would be asking God, today did I cry because I was broke, or did I cry because I was in love with you? But of course you can tell the difference as you walk with God. But for me, I think emotions are part of life, and God allows them. I feel like when people are low, they're closer to God. And everybody can tell you, for real, when I was down, man, me and God were like this. And so I think they're important. God put them in us, and they communicate even to him in a way that he understands. And so if you're able to connect with that, I think it's true, she was going through abuse and violence in her marriage, and I felt also that her songs were more emotional and the pain that she was having. But I feel pain sometimes it's a good thing, not in that way, of course, but I feel pain in life, you know, a bit of, you know, the hard times. Today I wrote things to be grateful for is problems, because problems make you look up, not look within yourself.
Yes.
And so I felt like she was looking up more than she was looking within, because even when you see how she was dressed, she never used to dress so much, you know, to please people. But of course, God, he says he delivers us from all our troubles. And so her case was special, because I've seen a lot of women also go through abuse who sing, and especially in our neighboring countries, you know, women are really, you know, belittled, especially if they become famous, and it's quite something that, you know, we need Njeri to tell our musicians, you know what, walk out. But most of them have walked out. Of course, society judges them harshly. Yeah.
But it's and that's what I always say, because when I start my shows, I always say I'm a single mother. I always say that. I always like saying that, because I've been single for a very long time, for 9 years now, and I always say I'm a single, proud mother of 3 beautiful girls, because they've made singleness out there look like a curse and a taboo. And if people like me don't talk about it, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm single and I've brought 3 beautiful girls and they're well disciplined, and I've never had no police knock my door. I've never had, you understand, they are children who have brought happiness to the community and to the people around them. If I can do it, any woman can do it, but they need to hear it. They need to hear me talk about it, you talk about it, Njeri talk about it, because some of them are in those relationships because culture, tradition. There's one day Lynn was interviewing somebody, and because it's out there, that's why I can talk about it, because it's out there, and she said she had to get married because the society, in her culture, she has to get married. And I was thinking, wow, how many people are in those relationships that they're not supposed to be in those relationships?
1 in 3.
Yes, 1 in 3. And they're being abused, they're being beaten, they're being emotional. And the other thing as well, people say, oh, it's because of money, the woman does. That's not true. That's not true, because I've seen a magistrate who is in a domestic violence, and the husband is not even working. We've seen Nachi as well, she was the one bringing money in the house. The husband wasn't working, he was just some lazy guy. So we do have some women who are in higher position, but they're still living in that. So for me personally, I wouldn't say I know what to do. I wouldn't say I have the answers. All I can say is if everybody who has a platform can use their platform positively to talk about these things, because the other thing as well, we're scared to talk about some things. We withhold back, and they're like, no, that Njeri. And that's why some people attack on Facebook, because they're like, why would you come and say something like that? Because they want things like that to be hidden, nobody to talk about it. A grandfather raped a child, and some people even came to defend that grandfather. I was like, seriously, are these people for real? It's not because they're defending the grandfather, it's because they don't want Njeri to talk about it. They don't want anybody to talk about it, because those topics are forbidden.
They're taboo.
They're taboos. So don't talk about it. And that's where you see what she said, what Njeri said. There's a lot of people who are now older. They're like, when I said it, I was beaten. When I said it, my mom told me to shut up because I'm going to shame the family. So they care about the image rather than the child or a human being. So Njeri, I'm going to ask you this, coming to you now. I know when I was in Soweto with you, I came and I helped. I started because I'm a philanthropist. I help a lot of people. And in fact, today I had a conversation with a friend, and they say people might ask me, how many plots do you have? How many houses do you have? Because that's how they define success. To me, that's not how I define success. I mean, I'm helping a school in Kibera right now, and I've built a 2-story building already. She's been there.
I've been there. I've served there.
You've served there.
I've spoken to kids. I've taken kids to candidate.
Yes. So that's school, just that school have costed me almost up to 10 Kenyan shillings. I could have used that to build my own house and to rent and to do this, but that is, to me, that's no satisfaction. I need something to satisfy me, that when I'm going to bed at night, I'm happy with myself. How many people are super, super rich and they're so sad?
They do nothing with it.
They're so sad, they end up committing suicide, and somebody thinks, that rich dude
with all that money,
is because money is not everything. Money is not everything.
It's true.
It's your satisfaction and peace. And to me, building that school, helping those children, that's my satisfaction. So nobody can come and take that away from me. But when I was in Soweto and we went to feed 200 children, my back, this one was doing it like nothing. Me, I was like, gojeni kidogo. Ngongo. Ngoja kidogo nipumzike. The children are looking at me like, hey, bora kisha tupatie chakula. We umetoka happy. And there was a story at that time that there's a woman who you actually rescued and she went back.
Yeah.
She went back. So when I talk about people that you actually rescue and go back, how do you feel about that? And do we have some of them that go back and actually now die or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, when I started this work, I had this image and this idea of how living looks like. And living is different for everybody. You have to understand the psychology of abuse. Now I'm in that place where I understand. I know. I can even tell you this one will go back.
Wow.
100%. I know this one would go back. And it's unfortunate, but that's the psychology of abuse. You see, abuse is not a linear line. Like you're looking at it like, oh, I've been abused, I'm going to leave. No. Chances of somebody being abused and living are very minimal. Because one, as long as society impresses, keeps on putting the pressure that women have to conform to a certain way. But marriage is the most important thing that a woman can do.
Yes.
Then women are going to stay. And women stay. Whether they're poor, they're rich, or they're in between. And actually I wanted to mention something when you're talking about Osinach. And when you talk about the worship was a cry to help from God.
Yeah.
Because that's who most people cry to. Like, you will... When I myself was going through abuse, I remember I used to pray and I used to tell God, come on, please God, change this man. I mean, I know you can change him. You have the power to change this person, right? And this abuse is probably going to end. And so for me, as I was saying, when you look at the psychology of abuse, the fact that living a marriage is so hard because one, what about your parents? What will they say? Do you even have spaces at home to go back to? There's this lady we took to the safe house, right? She had gone through really horrible abuse at her husband. And so we couldn't, it was her time to exit. So she didn't have anywhere else to go. So we proceeded to take her back home to her parents. Her mother had died and the land had been divided 4 ways. One a piece for her and the other 3 pieces for her brothers. Now, remember she had gotten married, so she had left home. So these 3 brothers had taken her land and absorbed it. So when we brought her and left her there, we thought she was safe. Because they were like, oh, we are so happy to see our sister, blah, 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 and her children. Let me tell you, no sooner had I reached Nairobi, the next morning, I'm being called from the safe house, I'm being told, I was about to say her name, Nani is here, so we just use Nani. Nani is here. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's been badly beaten. We need to rush her to hospital. I'm like, what are you even talking about? Her brothers. As soon as we had gone, they ganged up on her and beat her almost to death. And even worse beating than what her husband beat her.
And this is brothers.
Yeah, because she's a threat coming back home. It means they need to give back the land. They don't want to part with the land. So where do you tell a woman to go back to? Do you start to see how this works? So there are things that are already working against you. I'm asking you, the life we live in Nairobi right now is almost similar to what you guys are living in London. How many days can you accommodate me? And say I've come with 3 children. You can accommodate me by myself because I can sleep in your sofa. One mouth is not as hard to feed, but I have come, me and my several children, to your house. How long will you accommodate me, Lydia, without me being a burden? Because sometimes when you look at life, and the reason why people don't live is not necessarily the comfort of the money. It is knowing that my children will go to school. All right? My children will stay in school. My children will have a meal to eat. I may be beaten, but at least my children are eating. Which is never a good thing because the children that grow up seeing abuse keep growing up and keep saying, this, I hate seeing my mom going through all of this, right? And I don't want this for my mom. I wish we could do something better. And so for me, I want to say that there are reasons why women stay. There are reasons, especially financial reasons. And the worst part is, how does the community perceive you? How do we treat survivors of domestic violence, even at church? How do we treat divorced women? How do we treat divorced women? And that is one of the things that makes me want to stay back in a bad marriage, because I am afraid I'm going to lose my social connection. Immediately you get divorced. Do you know who are the first people who do not want to talk to you?
Your family.
You know. Also your friends who are married, because this is your circle of friends, because now you are suddenly a single woman, so now you're a threat to their marriage and to their peace. Both the husbands don't want you to speak to their wives because they feel like you are the reason their wives will leave them. So already the husband are already telling them no, and then the wives are looking at you as a potential threat maybe to their husband. So there are all these dynamics that involved why a person cannot leave. Also, how many people are willing to start over? You have invested with this person, right? You've bought land. Let me explain. Marriage is a very different dynamic. This is a person you loved. You know, you didn't just enter into that marriage fuagara. You entered into this marriage intentionally. You fell in love with this man. This is a man who is the father of your children. You have to look at all those dynamics. Living is hard. No, you start looking at it and you're like, oh my God, how do I leave this person? So all this living becomes very different. And the fact that sometimes we pray and we hope, and when we go to church we are told, there's a Kenyan thing we say that ndoa ni kuvumilia. So a marriage is to endure. You know, marriage is not even about love now, marriage is about endurance. And so when we say that, when we encourage in the society, the church, the community, everybody is telling you, my marriage is even worse than yours. How you see me is not how it is in the back. So you don't think your marriage is as bad. In fact, when you see somebody being beaten so badly, be like, at least mine doesn't beat me so badly. It's an occasional slap or an occasional insult. So there's so much trauma that comes to living. And I have had a client, and this killed me twice, that we spoke. We even got a restraining order. She left. She did. She left and went and started her life. And this man, that was last year in Georgia, this man broke her house, cut off the lights, and killed her. Killed her. So living sometimes is also not safe. So there are all these factors that you have to look at. And I don't know. And then there are people you speak to and you agree and they don't leave. And those are very many. And then there was a girl, and when I saw her dead in the news, I broke down and cried, because I heard her message the week before, and I was telling her, you need to leave this, please, I'm begging you. And then I saw her on TV dead, and I don't know. All I'm going to tell people is, please, if you're in an abusive marriage, chances of you dying are very high. Please leave.
The earlier the better.
The earlier the better.
Yeah.
Say my payment your best. Someone just say keep up the good work. Thank you, Leo. And Becky said, really, Njeri, I really admire the work you do. May God continue giving the strength to continue every day. Masika, I'm a prophet, dance, and my dream is to be part of your video. Mercy, that's good. Give me a chance, bring it on. Okay, somebody say that. Okay, and as a mother of boys, I have made it my duty to raise gentlemen. I made a decision that any bad and negative things I've gone through has ended with me. I am raising a better generation. Well done, Becky. That's very, very good. That deserves our clap. Beautiful people under one roof. Blessings all the way. Thank you so much, guys, who are watching, and also just share it as well. Share it to your platforms, and just let other people watch it as well. So thank you so much for everybody who is watching. And I also wanted to talk about finances now, Njeri, again to you. Finances. Do you get support from the government? Do you get support from, where do you get your support from?
From Kenyans of goodwill. Our work is not supported by the government. Our work is supported by the pay bill that you normally see me putting it out. And yeah, basically. And we have a program that is supported, but that's a different, entirely different program that's supported by Oxfam. But that's about it. That's it. And that's, yeah.
Because I do see you put...
It's hard.
I do see you put some things out and say we need blankets, we need this, we need that.
We need money.
We need money.
The work we do is very cash intensive. Imagine now we are feeding up to 800 to 1,000 children 4 days in a week. That means money, a lot of money. Anytime you see we are doing a rescue, and we do a rescue, we do a minimum of 5 rescues a week. It needs money. There is nothing that moves in Kenya without money. And sometimes you get into this place where you feel like I'm tired, and we run a shelter. That shelter means we need to pay rent, we need to pay the people who work there, we need food, we need all these things. And sometimes when you keep on asking people for money, and the people think, oh my God, we are funding her lifestyle.
Yes, that's what I actually wanted to ask next.
And sometimes you feel like I am tired of asking people for money. You know, it's been 4 years. And you feel like you write grants. It's not we don't write grants, we write grants, but you find that what sometimes the donor wants is not what you're doing. And sometimes you may decide to take money, but that's not the direction or the vision that you have for the organization that you're running. My vision is to end the prevalence of gender-based violence, especially where we are in Soweto. The reason we feed the children and why feeding the children is important, it may not look like it's GBV or GBV related, but I just think this is just humanitarian work. But I feed those children to protect them.
Yes.
I feed those children because one of the ways that predators lure children, especially in underserved areas like where we are, is through food. I also feed these children because some parents send their children out to look for money and come back home with money, else you'll be beaten. So what do some of these, why do you think these children who are 5 and 8 and 9 that you see in cars asking you to buy njuku? It's because if they go home without money, they're going to be beaten, they're not going to get food. And that is how people also take advantage of these children. Somebody calls a kid, come into the car, they rape that kid. I'm telling you. And I have an agreement with the mothers where I am. And I tell them, if I give these children food, 1 meal a day, can you make sure that this child stays in school? So what has happened is the children are staying in school. This food is so important. But people don't see it. And so that it becomes a hard work to keep on drumming for support. Yeah, and I need that support in order for me to continue doing what I do. And nobody's funding my lifestyle. I have a co-founder, she works, and they make sure that I have food to eat.
Because I normally see sometimes when you're asking for help and some people be like, oh, but we helped you last time. Every case is different.
Every day they have to eat.
Every day
people have to eat, whether they're in the safe house or they're in the office. And I have 3 safe houses. Where do you think we take these women? Where do you think we take these men? Because we do have cases of men as well. Where do you think we take these children? And how do you think all this is done? It's money. Involves money. And sometimes somebody sees you, oh my God, they made their nails, they probably used our money. And you're like, you want me to look like a beggar? So, I remember, so that it is not said I have money. It is, I have to look a certain way.
Don't dress like this because look how she did her hair. That money, her hair was so expensive. Where did you get the money
there's all
from?
these things, and they're really discouraging. And you will actually see people say, one of them, we are going to dig and unearth these things that you keep on saying. And I'm like, my friend, I mean, I remember 3 days ago, I was telling Mercy yesterday, I lay down on the floor and I said, God, if what I'm doing is not your will, because I had messages from landlords, from people who give us food, from people who give us transport, and I had bills, Lydia, and I was just telling myself, if this is not what I'm called to, I'm willing to go back to work and forget about Usikimia, because how am I going to survive? And yet somebody will see me in London and they'll be thinking, oh my God, but they don't know what Lydia did to ensure I came to London, what somebody else did to ensure I came here. And people will be like, oh, she's going to London, she's going to get money. No, I'm here because I have people who love me enough to be like, we want your work to be amplified and to be seen out here so that more you can drum up more support. And it's crazy, Lydia. Doing humanitarian, you know,
it's
doing humanitarian where you depend on people, where sometimes you think and you're like, where? People don't even know how you live, whether you eat. I remember there was a case, and that is a case that made me realize. Actually, let me not even go that far low. Let me just say a case that happened yesterday when the judgment came. Literally, there were men with mapangas in our office, threatening to kill us. Because we got 4 people within the community arrested. These are people that I was with you when I was doing that case. The day you had called me in that Zoom with Babu, that lady, because these 4 perpetrators were jailed.
Wow.
People are not looking at how bad, what they did and how bad it is, because this lady, we are taking care of us. It's been 2 years and we're taking care of this girl. This girl, because when they sexually assaulted her, they put a pipe inside her stomach.
Oh,
now this pipe went and perforated her uterus, so she had an operation and her uterus was removed, and perforated her intestines. You see, once you donate for one case, you assume that case is over, but that case is still with us, because we need to take care of this person.
It's every day.
It's an everyday thing, and I will not come back and tell you, please give me money for this person. But we have to ensure, because this person cannot work. But we got her into doing chapati. But most of the time, you'll find she has to go to hospital for physio, because they. But people within the community, because we've had a few rapists get arrested, have started threatening us. Lydia, I cannot drive because I am afraid if people know how and where I am. I've had guns on my head. I mean, so all these things, but yet it's very hard to find people asking me, how are you? Are you okay?
Even the government to intervene.
No. Are you okay? You'll find people will ask me about a survivor, but people will never really ask you, how are you doing? Are you okay? Are you and your people fine? That's me and my team.
To them, you are okay because you're doing. They'll just say, "Hey, you're a strong woman." I hate those words. You're a strong woman. You're a warrior. You know you can do it. You're a strong woman. Okay, even every strong woman needs a pillar.
Yes.
So where is that pillar? Who's gonna give it to me? So they always just say you're a strong woman, and then they
move
put
on.
you in a pedestal.
Yes.
And once somebody puts you in that pedestal,
They're done.
sometimes you're done.
You do not have vulnerabilities.
No.
And they don't know how hard your heart breaks every day. When sometimes you have to look at situations, even your staff, you cannot allow them to see you vulnerable like that.
No, you can't.
Because you have to stand up for them and tell them, we have to do this. But sometimes your heart itself is breaking and you're like, wait, Mimi, by the way, I'm about to raise up and say I'm done. But for some reason, we've seen miracles.
Okay. Oh, time won't allow us to even go farther and farther. But we could have sat here and talk about everything the whole day. But time is cannot allow us. So I'm just going to come to you and just ask you to look at our people out there and give us your last remarks.
I think life is very simple. And it's important to keep the joy more than anything else. We were talking about yesterday with Njeri, how there's certain people who go through so much that they even change their color, that they were light, very light, and they become darker because of being sad, because there's a word you're saying, the body does what?
The body keeps score.
The body keeps score. And many times your body will tell you something is wrong, so rest up. Like this weekend you were tired, your body was telling you need to rest.
Yes.
And so one of the things that every one of us needs is joy. You have to fight to keep joy and hope alive. And so music does that, worship does that, because no sooner have I worshipped then I'm alive again. My joy is back. And so it's important for us to. And I think that's what Njeri also I've seen her say, throughout, that joy is everything. If you lose your joy in marriage, if you lose your joy in work, it's not worth it. Joy is your strength. It will keep you alive. So many people have died just because they lost that joy in life. And God will keep you there. Worship will keep you there. And love will keep you there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's powerful. All right, Njeri, what's your last remarks?
My last remark is to everybody, support people who are going through abuse.
True.
Support them. And there are very many ways you can support. Be there for your friend. And I keep saying this. I know sometimes you look at people and you're like, but she was gone back. Trauma does that to you. and not having a place to go also does that to you. Support your friends and love them through it. I know you didn't vouch for this, but love them through it. And I believe that with love, the world can become a better place. What I do is a mission of love. And I'm not set. And people call me a homebreaker. I'm not a homebreaker. If the home wasn't broken, I wouldn't be there.
You wouldn't be there.
So I am not a homebreaker. I'm not a homebreaker. I actually love love. I think love is beautiful. I think love is amazing. And love should be in a place of healthy communication, joy, and peace. That's it. That's what we're looking for as people. All these other things are added onto it. And thank you, Lydia,
Bonuses
for having us here.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Today I might not look like Vavavoom like I always do. But don't worry, Vavavoom is coming back. Just a little bit of time.
She'll be
After
back.
the event, she'll be back. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger always says, I'll be back. You know, just to say thank you to a few people again. My producers, oh my God, my producers are the best. Not even KTN or CNN or BBC can have such producers. These are the best. And I called Mr. Jojo. So thank you so much, Mr. Jojo. Thank you, my sweet Margaret. Thank you so much, everybody who's behind the scene to make us look so beautiful and to make this space for us. Thank you so much. And I want to say thank you also to our viewers, everybody who was watching, everybody who asked questions or commented, everybody who shared. Thank you so much. And we're here every Wednesday from 6 to 6, 7, 8 to 8, 6 or 6, 7, 8, 8 p.m. Kenyan time. So they have to do this. Mwalimu wa maths, uko wapi? Hapa ni wapi? Yeah. So 6 or 6 p.m. UK time, 8 p.m. Kenyan time. So you can always join us then. You can phone in as well, or you can just ask questions on Facebook. So I want to say thank you so much. We'll be here again next week on Wednesday. And like I always say, remember, watch channel 181, Sky 181. We're coming there very, very soon. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, my people. I love you so much. And all we can say is it can only be God. And